Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and also I moonlight for Your Black Education, which is a platform that we have established that allows educators and children and parents across the country to come together to help each other figure things out. One of the reasons that we do this is because we've had deep concerns about the educational system, the school to prison pipeline, and as I mentioned to you, two of the key things that I think black people need to do in this generation to lay a foundation of greatness for the next generation is to one, educate our own children as much as possible, and two, make sure our children learn how to have their own businesses. Doesn't mean your child can't go to school somewhere else every day, but when they come home, you make sure you're the primary educator and also the protector. Our current school system, unfortunately, is a place where children do need protection. They need advocacy because there's so many obstacles in place, so many systematic factors that are designed for their ultimate extermination from society. When I say extermination, I'm not just talking about physical, even though that is a part of it. I'm also talking about intellectual, spiritual, economic, etc. You have a lot of young black men, especially, who end up marginalized, disappearing in the shadows of our society because of what happens when things start in the school system. And a story that I saw today that really got my attention on this and made me think about this issue is a story that happened in Ohio where a 12-year-old boy at a school called St. Gabriel was suspended after having a staring contest with a little girl, a little white girl in class. And basically, here's the quote from his mother, Candice Tolbert. She says, "My son stared at a girl who was engaging in a staring game. She giggled the entire time." And then the boy says, I never knew she was scared," because here's the interesting thing. School officials, they suspended the boy, saying that he intimidated the girl, and that she said she felt fearful while the boy stared at her. So this has a lot of really interesting connotations. When as it relates to the historic relationship between the black male and the white woman. The white woman is the most protected, most nurtured member of our society. The black male is the most hated, most feared member of our society. You go back to Emmett Till, murdered for looking at a white woman, and he's not the only one. He's really one of thousands where this has happened to. Even if you look at incarceration rates, you will see that black boys or black men are far more likely to be incarcerated than white women. White women are the least likely. Black males are the most likely. This is not just a coincidence or because white women just don't do anything illegal. It's because when black men and white women do the exact same thing, it's perceived entirely differently by the white males who control this society, who also see black men as a threat. Just like in Birth of a Nation, when that film was made about 100 years ago, it became this really popular film because it showed white men protecting white women from savage, brutal, scary black men. So this has deep connotations, and it's really interesting and meaningful in terms of kind of understanding just what our kids go through. Because I know at the age of 12, kids don't really quite understand racial divides as much as they will when they get older. Doesn't mean they don't see what's going on, but they don't see it as clearly as the rest of us. A lot of kids that age really think that everything is fair and that racism is a thing of the past, because that's what they're being taught in school every day as well. And we saw that history book in Texas where they were literally erasing slavery in this McGraw-Hill book, and replacing slavery with immigrant workers. They called us immigrants and immigrant workers, right? Like we came here voluntarily. And somehow we benefited by being brought here. And so ultimately, you see systems where kids are being miseducated, they're being mistreated, and it's something that we have to kind of heighten our awareness to. I think that with your own children, you want to protect them from this system. You have to protect their self-esteem. You have to protect their ability to learn. You have to protect their ability to be productive members of society, because what happens is when you get that first suspension or two, or that first detention, or whatever it is, even if you didn't do anything wrong, you start to identify yourself. Kids self-label about that age. I know I did. When I was getting suspended targeted left and right and getting in trouble left and right. I saw myself as a troublemaker. I saw myself as the one who, oh, I must be the class clown. I must be the whatever, and that wasn't true. But that's what I believed, and when you believe it, then that's what you're gonna do. That's how you're gonna behave. So this story, I don't know how it's gonna go, but I know that his parents are fighting. They're gonna file lawsuits and all this other stuff, and I think that that's what we all have to do. We have to fight, and that's the reason we created our Your Black Education platform, is because we want to fight for our kids. We have to fight for our children. Stop thinking that these people like you. They don't like you. Stop thinking that we live in some sort of equitable melting pot. We do not. Statistical indicators show clearly that we do not. So let's just be real and let's build. Let's connect. Let's grow as a community and be prepared to fight. That's the key thing that a lot of us don't understand when you talk about the quest for equality. The quest for equality does not come from marching and begging and being polite. It really comes from saying, as Farrakhan might have said in his march, justice or else. That has to be your answer to everything. Justice or else. And then the best way to find justice from a system, the best way to escape persecution from a system, is to leave that system. You look throughout history, when the Mormons were being persecuted by the rest of the other white people, they left the system. They went out to Utah. They built something of their own. They had pride in building their own, as opposed to simply subjugating themselves to someone else's hierarchy. And they went out and they built Salt Lake City, which is now one of the wealthiest, most powerful cities in the world. So, that's what you do. That's what we want to do in this generation. Leave and build. I personally can say, if I were raising a young child now, and I do have I have an adopted daughter, and she had a baby, so I guess I'm a grandfather, and I know that with well, not I guess, I know I am. It's just, I don't feel old enough to be a grandfather, but you got to accept that. And I do know that I'm going to talk about homeschooling. I'm going to talk about, at the very least, extreme supplemental schooling. That means when that little girl comes home, that's when the real education begins. Okay, let me tell you about the stuff that your teacher told you and why some of that might not be true. And then you build a strong young black woman out of that. And remember, kings and queens, they are not born, they are made. So we must make our children to kings and queens, and they certainly don't have an opportunity to do that if they're being subjected to this kind of mistreatment in a public school system, or even a Catholic school. I think the kid goes to a Catholic school, the kid in Ohio. So anyway, that's it. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black Education. Please take care. God bless. I'm gone. Peace.